Hey guys, what's up? It's Greg Srizavasti with CinemAddicts. For this installment of interviews, you have Eric interviewing Hounds of War filmmaker Issac Florentine and Subservience director S.K. Dale. First up is Hounds of War. Here's a good thing regarding this movie. It stars Frank Grillo and it's directed by Issac Florentine. So Eric Holmes loves Frank Grillo movies, and Issac Florentine is a personal favorite for him as a filmmaker because a couple just different reasons. One of the top reasons is during his career, Florentine has worked with actor Scott Adkins for a whole bunch, maybe 7, 8, or 9 movies, a bunch of movies. And Eric Holmes is one of the first movie items or facts that I learned about Eric Holmes is he is a huge Scott Adkins fan. So by default, Issac Florentine is a filmmaker that he appreciates. Now, Scott Adkins is not in Hounds of War, but it does star Frank Grillo, Robert Patrick, and Rona Mitra. The plot summary goes as, quote, "The movie is about the best military mercenaries money can buy. Known as the Hounds, they are sent on a final mission by their creator, a carefully planned trap set up to destroy them." So ultimately, this is a trap. It is a revenge drama headlined by Frank Grillo. There's another Frank Grillo movie, by the way, that's coming out on Friday. But for the specifics of this CinemAddicts episode, let's focus on Hounds of War. It's going to be out on Friday on digital, Friday, September 20th. So that is the first interview. You have Eric Holmes. Look, credit to Eric Holmes. He was not fawning or kissing the you-know-what of Issac Florentine. It was a professional interview. I would have been less professional. So props to Eric for that interview with Issac Florentine. Now, the second interview is from last week. It's Subservience, and it's director S.K. Dale. And S.K. Dale is a filmmaker that Eric and I both love, and I believe Bruce Perky also appreciates. If memory serves, all three of us liked S.K. Dale's previous movie, Till Death, which starred Megan Fox. Megan Fox is back again to work with S.K. Dale, so they worked together on Till Death, and now they're together with Subservience. Here's a plot summary for that. Megan Fox stars as Alice, a, quote, lifelike, artificially intelligent android who has the ability to take care of any family and home. Looking for help with the housework, a struggling dad, played by Michelle Morone, purchases Alice after his wife becomes sick. Alice suddenly becomes self-aware and wants everything her new family has to offer, starting with the affection of her owner, and she'll kill to get it. Now, Subservience is now out on digital and on demand. I have not seen this Megan Fox film. I just messaged Eric Holmes for his review or his rating of Subservience because last week when we did CinemAddicts, Eric was not allowed to review Subservience when the movie came out. Okay. His rating for Subservience is 4 stars. It's currently out on digital and demand. If you want to rent or purchase Subservience or Hounds of War, again, Hounds of War hits digital September 20th. You can actually use our Amazon links in the show notes. Me, Eric, Bruce Perky, and Anderson Cowan receive a slight cut of the commission. Hounds of War, again, it comes out on Friday. I've seen it. I can't say anything about it because I believe the reviews are embargoed, at least until the opening day on September 13th, or no, it's on September 20th. I don't even know if we're going to be able to review it until the following day. But I will say this. Hounds of War is a Frank Grillo movie, and usually movies starring Frank Grillo, I thoroughly enjoy. Okay, and yeah, and it's directed by Issac Florentine. I haven't seen as many of his movies as Eric Holmes has, but again, I can't review it, but let's just say he's a very talented filmmaker, and I was able to interview him as well. My interview with Issac Florentine will be posted later this week on our sister podcast, the Find Your Film podcast. Okay, so first up for CinemAddicts is Eric's interview with Hounds of War director Issac Florentine, and then you'll have Eric talking to S.K. Dale about his new film, which reunites him with Megan Fox. The movie is called Subservience. Thank you guys so much for supporting me, Bruce, and Eric on CinemAddicts. Speaking of CinemAddicts, let me just look right here very quickly and tell you what movies to expect when we are going to review it later this week for our review podcast. Hold on one second. Okay, so the movies that we are covering this week for episode 260 of CinemAddicts for the week covering Friday, September 20th include The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry, In the Summers, this film called Last Straw, The Featherweight, Little Brother, and then these two Frank Grillo movies, Long Gone Heroes and Hounds of War. I believe me and Eric can't review these Grillo movies, but we will probably mention these two movies for this week's CinemAddicts episode 260. So again, The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry, In the Summers, Last Straw, The Featherweight, and Little Brother. All right, guys, listen to these interviews. Tell us what you think. We'd love to hear your thoughts or movie recommendations if you have any. Hit us up over at CinemAddicts. Join us on our CinemAddicts Facebook group as well. If you do so, please. Thanks again for your support. Take care. Bye.
I'm here with Issac Florentine. For my money, one of the best action directors on the planet. It's a complete honor having you here, and really loved Hounds of War. I guess I'll start with this, and I don't even know if you can answer it, but what sets you apart from other action directors? Because when I discovered you, it was the Undisputed movies, and you came up at a time when there's like a bunch of shaky cams, but your action is always very clear and very like you can see what's going on. What's kind of your process and your approach to directing action?
I think you said it by yourself. So here's the thing. There are two things now that I think about it. First, I'm coming from karate background. I mean, I've been training for the last 53 years. I love it. The beauty of karate, it's clean, it's sharp, it's clean to watch it. It's not sloppy, should not be sloppy. And when you move, it's very sharp. Basically, when you do a cut, when you do a scene, it's very accurate. That's one thing. Now, technically, when I shoot, I don't like to go with tele lenses or shaky camera. I want to see clarity. And it doesn't matter if it's a dramatic scene or an action scene. If it's an action scene, I want to see the technique. Like when you see a movie with Gene Kelly or Fred Astaire dancing, do you see them top to bottom? So you see the dancing, right? And also, you want to see the geography, because once you start to do shaky camera or you go with tele lenses, you don't know where you are. You don't know who's in the left side. You don't know who's the right side. You don't understand what you're doing. What you end up is with quick cuts. You don't see the techniques. You hear sound effects, but you didn't see really the fight. You heard the fight. It gave you a feeling of a fight. I go the opposite way. I want clarity. I want people to see the techniques. I want people to see the geography. I don't want people to feel that they were cheated. And I think people appreciate this and they tend to respond to it, especially if you're lucky to work with actors that can move. And then you say, wait a minute, now I can do a big sequence with no cuts. And maybe the average audience doesn't know what's a cut or not. Yes, cut, no cut, he doesn't know. But he feels when there is a continuous motion, he feels it, you know? So that's basically it, you know? That's in a nutshell, you know?
Yeah, and then you said working with actors that can kind of hold their own. Of course, I discovered Scott Adkins through you. What was that relationship like? Because you guys have worked together brilliantly for a while.
In 2002, somebody sent me, my good friend Don Warner, got a VHS from Scott. He was then totally unknown. And he told me, Isaac, you should see that VHS. And I looked at it. There was like some body shots of him, some face shots. And I said, okay, looks charismatic. Can he move? And then he was doing some martial arts technique. I said, wow, this guy can move. Now, he does theatrical martial arts, which is acrobatics and stunts. Then there were stunts and it was right there. And I said, oh, wow, can he play? Can he act? Then came some BBC drama. And I said to myself, wow, you cannot be more dramatic than BBC drama. Then I called him. And at that time, I was doing special forces. I went to my producer, Boss Davidson. I showed it to him, and we tailored a role for him in that movie just to test him. After I finished this movie, I was supposed to do Undisputed 2. And nobody thought that Scott can play Boyka. And Scott told me, Isaac, if I'll get the role of Boyka, I will work day and night to become the character. And I said, okay, I believe in you. Besides, again, my producer, Boss Davidson, everybody thought that I'm doing a big mistake. I totally believe in Scott. And nobody believed that a handsome English gentleman can look like a big Russian menacing thug, but he did it, you know. So, and I guess the rest is history because in Undisputed 2, I decided that I'm not doing an action movie, I'm doing a sport movie. And the character will be, both characters will be rounded characters. They will have layers. And people like that character, that he had his own sense of justice and he was had religious conviction. And the audience went with it so much. So we did with him Undisputed 3 and Undisputed 4, you know? And we started to work together. So
And
this is how it happened, you know?
and so Hounds of War is very different action
Totally.
movie than Undisputed. What was your approach to doing Hounds of War?
It's more of a mainstream movie if you look at it. The first part is more of a military movie. The second part is a revenge movie. It's more of a mainstream movie if you look at it. And I think also the action is more mainstreamish. There is fights, but there's also a chase, there's also shooting, there's also a story. It's kind of multi-layer, you know, it's a fun entertainment for everybody. The martial arts movies that I do are maybe not for everybody. And this is a movie that everybody can enjoy, you know. Kids, adults, male, female. It's a typical popcorn movie, you know.
Yeah. And what goes like when you get a script, what goes through your head as far as yes, I want to do this, or this one's not for me, I'm going to pass on this one.
Story and character.
Yeah.
Story and character. It's like if the story works and the characters, I say, okay, it really works for me. I would like to do it. If I don't like it or it's not for me, you know, the genre, I say, I mean, and it happened to me that sometimes I got scripts that they were good scripts, but they were not for me. You know, I got a script that was a good script that was all about car chases, and I'm not the right person to do it. I'll get bored, you know.
Yeah. What's like what is it about car chases that don't turn you on the way like fighting scenes do?
Look, in a car chase, in a way, you're a bit limited because, okay, there is the car chase, then you shoot a lot of green screens of people driving inside, usually. And I don't know, you feel remote for the action. When there is a gunfight or martial arts, I'm totally engaged because I came from that background of martial arts. I love it, you know. It's kind of the reason why I wanted to become a director was because I wanted to do those action movies, you know. Some people wanted to do artsy movies, and if they have to do action movies, they suffer. With me, it's exactly the opposite.
Is there any genres of movies that you haven't tackled yet that like secretly like for instance, is there an Issac Florentine rom-com in the future where it's like, oh, I could really crush a romantic comedy or something like that?
But I'd like to do more historical movies and like period pieces. And I did a Western 30 years ago. I'd like to do another one. I love that genre. The reason why I became a filmmaker is because my love to Westerns and the Italian Westerns. So I would love to do another Western and to do it as authentic as possible because I'm really a history buff. I really, really, really love history. And therefore, if it will be an historical movie or a Western or any historical movie, I would very much would love to do it.
I very much love to see that. But I guess we'll end on this. What's a movie that you could recommend to our audience that's maybe people haven't seen enough? It's like, you know, people talk about like the big hitters like The Godfather and Citizen Kanes and whatnot, but like what's a movie that's like this one's really good and no one talks about it?
I think it's a movie, everybody talks about it, but I'm not sure if the young audience are aware of this movie. For me, it's the Bible, kind of. Not the real Bible, but movie making. And it's Once Upon a Time in the West by Sergio Leone. Of course, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, which is lighter, same director. These two movies, but especially Once Upon a Time in the West, I love that movie. It's like watching an opera. It's got layers. I just enjoy watching this movie. And I think it's an important movie to watch. It's slow pace, but I think it has the best movie opening that I ever seen in my life. And it's also a revenge story, if you think about it. And it's just a beautiful movie. And the hero is really a woman. I mean, you have Charles Bronson there and Jason Roberts, but you have, and Henry Fonda, but you have Claudia Cardinelli, and she's amazing, you know? and it's a great movie.
Oh, it's a great choice. Hounds of War will be available on digital September 20th. Isaac, it's been an absolute pleasure and absolute honor. Love your movies. I love your directing style. Love everything. And I want to see that. I want to see that Western you have cooking in your head.
Thank you. Me too.
Well, thanks for joining me.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, I'm in the back of my car right now. I gotta head into work.
That actually good. Yeah, the background sells it.
Oh yeah, yeah. It makes it seem like I'm in a real studio. I'm here with S.K. Dale, director of Subservience and Till Death. We came out last year, a year before. Really enjoyed that one, and you're working with Megan Fox again. So when I saw that you two were working again on this, I was like, woohoo! Let's see what this is about. So,
thank you. Thank you.
I guess let's start with that. How did this come about?
Well, it was actually through the production company that I did Till Death with. We had a really great relationship, and it was a good process all the way through. And when we finished and we were in post-production, they sent through this script, and they said, "Hey, look, it's a bit bigger of a budget, more action, and it was coming into this sci-fi world." So I seemed pretty excited about the pitch of it, and then I read the script, really enjoyed it, and it took a while to pitch on it and work on a few things and develop it into a place that we all enjoyed. But once we kind of got to that point, things were rolling. And having worked with Megan before, I knew where her strengths were and everything like that. And I thought this would be a really interesting role, something we haven't seen her play before. So we were really excited to kind of have the whole team come back together for that and get us all out back to Bulgaria to shoot it as well.
As far as I know, you don't typically write your projects. You're a director, or have you had some writing in the past?
I usually will come through and do a pass at it at some point. I definitely want to, even if it's just rewriting scenes to have, certain things happen at different times and everything, or visually happen differently. I really like to kind of hone in and be very precise with how we're going to shoot it, especially if we're, moving quickly through the shooting days and having to rush through everything. I just need to know exactly, everything on the page. If any question comes up, I need to know exactly how I would answer that question. So I will come through and do a pass on all the scripts at some point, but I do love working with the original writers and developing it as well, and making sure I don't chip away at their vision too much as well.
Yeah. So when you get a screenplay, what's the difference between, yes, I'm going to do this, or maybe this is for someone else?
Usually it's interesting because sometimes I'll read a screenplay and I'll be like, this is, beautifully written and I love all this and everything. But maybe conceptually, I'm like, that's not what I would like to do. Or visually, I don't know how to kind of go into that or, explore that theme or something like that. So and then there might be some projects that have come along where it's like, oh, it's not really well written, but I love this hook or I love this element, and so let's develop it. And those can take a while to get to a point that everyone's happy with. But it's interesting because it's not necessarily like, sometimes I'll read a script and I'll be like, that is beautifully written, but it's not my tone or vision or something like that. But if there's something in there that really excites me, I will, jump into it. And sometimes, it's a page one rewrite with the team. And other times it's, just kind of this project in particular with Subservience. I think Will and April had really honed in on something, and it was really just kind of tweaking a few things and really focusing on other characters towards the third act that I thought I really was drawn to and stuff like that.
It's not an extravaganza, but they're used really well. And I would say probably your best special effect, it's cliche as it does to say, is Megan Fox, because I'm watching this going, oh wow, they really did a great job on that android. Oh wait, no, that's Megan Fox, though. She's just acting.
I will say it was when we got to there's a bar sequence towards the end, and when I was trying to pitch her this idea of glitching out and playing with that and kind of twisting the head a little bit and repeating certain lines and all that. At first, I think she was a bit like, this could come across as, really weird or stupid or whatever it is. And I was like, just trust me on this. I think we can make this work. And so it was really just, adding a little bit of time ramps within the editing process to make them feel, quicker, and all that. But once she kind of got into it and played around with it a bit, I think she really enjoyed that element of, you know, glitching out and yeah, having fun with it.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, got you now.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that might work a little better. But just know that I'm smiling at you the whole time. But
It's good to know.
But yeah, one of the storytelling things you do in this movie is you kind of show your hand a little bit, not saying exactly what's going to happen, but show that there's something probably not great's going to happen, and that kind of leads to tension throughout the entire movie. Like, oh, when's the other shoe going to drop? What's kind of your thoughts on that kind of suspense and tension and storytelling? Because a lot of times people say that for like a big twist or something, and then you don't get to play around with the ramifications of the twist because by then the movie's over. But in this, you kind of have a little bit of that early on, and then you get to just kind of sit in it for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, I think, you know, part of it is really that genre blindness idea where, you know, the audience is aware of the genre that we're watching. You know, a lot of people were watching the trailer coming in and knowing, you know, what the film's going to be about and all that. And although the characters feel like, you know, you want them to feel like it's the real world and this is it, I think the audience will always come in with that idea and that mind frame. So knowing that and then having them actually, you know, kind of, you know, just leaning into that a little bit more and knowing, you know, that the audience will kind of be aware of this. And, you know, we kind of do play it out as this kind of erotic thriller at the start. So I kind of like this idea where that first half is kind of playing on sexual tension, or at least that first act, and then taking that sexual tension and turning it into more of this thriller as things escalate and become more horrific towards the end. For me, that was kind of exciting, was to really kind of build off that first act and just, yeah, slowly let it snowball into this kind of crazy third act that we created.
All right. Well, Scott, my internet hates me, but it's been a real pleasure talking with you. I implore everyone to go check out Subservience, which will be released on demand and digital September 13th. And go check out, you know what, double feature with Till Death, because that's another great movie. And congratulations on this one.
Thank you, mate. I really appreciate it.